what we're going to talk about, huh? I guess we can just do it on the fly.
Yeah, I've got some questions, and you can maybe think about this subject because I want to focus a little bit on your uh, mental growth and in the game. We talked last time a little bit about it. Getting used to the crowd, getting used to the moment, the
Mhm.
intensity of it,
Yeah.
because you're pretty young to be experiencing all that.
Yeah.
So I just want to question you on this last tournament to see your perspective on if you've changed anything between the tournament before, and if the effect of the intensity of the moment has changed a little bit for you. Get more used to that moment, maybe, and used to the crowds, and certainly there's people cheering for you at these tournaments.
Yeah.
You know,
You were
there.
a
I mean,
popular guy in Wisconsin.
oh yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, I gotta. The fella who's setting my table just knocked on my door. I'll be right back.
Well, that's fun. We didn't want Rob in here anyways, did we, Sam? We just wanted to just be you and me. Well, we kind of hinted at it. You got 5th through 8th at the Wisconsin Open. How much fun was that?
It was a lot of fun. Got to play a lot of pros. Got some good experience. It was
You got a few
a
scalps,
great
didn't you?
tournament. What?
You got a few scalps, didn't you?
Yep. I think
Take us through. Who'd you beat?
So in the first round, I drew Mika Immonen, got him 2-1, got him in the shootout, and then second match played Jeremy Seaman. Match didn't go as planned in the first set, but I ended up pulling it out. Got him in the second set in the shootout, and then the next day I beat Kang Lee 2-0 to get into the final 16, and then my last 16 match. Can't pronounce his name, not going to butcher the name, but I beat him 2-0, and then I lost to Vitaly Patsera in the quarterfinals, 2-1. Got beat in the third set.
You won the first set too, right? In that one, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I won the second set against
You won the
Vitaly.
second set, okay.
Yep.
Pretty good stuff. What'd you take away from it?
Those Predator tables play tough. I got to get used to them. The slide, I got to get used to that. I just got to get overall better with my mental game, I would say. When I got to that quarterfinal match, I was thinking, this is good enough. No, I can't think like that. I just gotta keep going. Just gotta keep grinding.
Sure. Well, you are. We won't call you a basket case because that's not true, but you do get quite a bit anxious when you play, don't you?
I get very anxious. Very anxious.
To the point where going into, I guess, some personal details, you didn't even like having anybody that you knew watch you play.
Yep. Yeah, I like to. I don't know why I do it, but I don't really like when a lot of people watch me play, especially pros. Like when I was in the shootout with Jeremy Seaman, I noticed that Joshua Filler and Tyler Steyer were both watching us like, crap. I'm gonna. Here we go. This is the end. This is the end of my career right here. I missed this ball, and they're all gonna think, "Oh, that's the worst pool player in the building right there."
As you're in a shootout with Jeremy Seaman.
Yep. And then I make the ball, and I'm like, yes.
Did you look back at Josh and say you got the 8?
No, I did not. I don't think I'd ever do that.
Well, sometimes you just gotta own it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have some fun with it. Well, of course, you're go ahead.
Oh, when I did make the winning shot in the shootout against Jeremy, I looked back at Tyler. I gave him a little look like, yes, I made it. Just to kind of,
You have a relationship a little bit with Tyler, right? Like you're not like friends,
What?
but you guys communicate quite a bit, right? You and Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, we know each other, yeah. I mean, I've messaged him, he's messaged me. We, we're friendly to each other, tournaments and stuff. He likes to give me some advice.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you can get the advice, you take it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what's your takeaway from the event? What is does this spring you into wanting to play more? Is this like all right, I've kind of got there. I'm going to take a little bit of a break now and just focus on things. Or where are you at leaving this tournament?
Definitely want to play in more of these. I want to play in a lot more pro events. I want to continue to gain more experience. I don't want this to, be my one-hit wonder. I want to just, continue to place high in these and continue to grow, continue to get better.
What's
Top
the
10?
next event?
Pretty darn good, Sam.
Thank you.
Top 5.
Actually, you were top 5, fifth and sixth tie, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Fifth through eighth. Top 8.
We'll say top 5.
So,
You'd have beat the
you've
the other 8.
in the top 8 basically in almost every tournament you've got to, haven't you?
I've been pretty good this year. Yeah. I mean, the last pro tournament though, I got I believe 17th through 24th.
Okay.
So that was the one in Virginia at the Bob Stocks.
And how many were in that tournament?
Somewhere around.
That was 128, I think.
Oh, so that's a huge field. You got
it was a big field. Yeah.
Yeah. I
This
used to be
one-
satisfied with that in some tournaments where there was, 250 players
Mhm.
or more. There was a
Yeah.
couple of tournaments out in Vegas, with 1,500 players. And you get to top 30 or top 20 of that, and that's enough, really. You want to win, but
Yeah.
you settle for what you got.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess we hinted at it a little bit already by talking about Josh and Tyler, but Joshua Filler beats Tyler Steyer in the finals, talking about the men since we have Sam here. So we'll talk about the men first. Joshua Filler beats Tyler in straight sets. Did you end up getting to watch much of Josh, Sam, while he was there?
When I was playing my last 16 match, he's playing right next to me. He was playing Tyrell Blowers, I believe. Man, that dude shoots too straight.
Josh?
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, Josh.
Yeah, it's incredible how dominant he was in this field. It was he wins his first match 2-0, second match 2-0, third match 2-0.
I think the only
gets
person
into
in
the
that
finals.
Well, he lost one
Kazakis.
game. I mean, one set.
He lost one set to Alex Kazakis. He
Yeah,
dropped one
yeah.
set to the previous champion.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's
He's super fun to watch.
What was the score between him and Tyler in the finals?
4-1,
2-0.
4-1.
yeah,
Oh,
4-1,
wow.
4-1. Which
I think-
was 4-1, 4-1, and he got Vitali 4-2, 4-2.
Okay.
Got Kazakis 4-0, and then lost 2-4, and then won 4-1.
Yeah.
What do you
He
think
was
about the
super
format,
dominant.
Sam? Compared to like a regular race to 7, 9, 11, whatever.
Personally, I thought it was a really fun format. It definitely gives players like me a better chance, I'd say. It's a short race, 2 races. So even if I get 4-0'd the first set, if I win the second set 4-3, we're right in a shootout, and any player in that field can win a shootout. So I think it definitely it's a great. I think personally it's a good format.
Okay, so it's fun.
It is definitely a fun format, except for the first time you play that shootout. It's very, very,
Did you have any shootouts this tournament?
What?
Did you have any shootouts this tournament in your matches?
Yeah, I went to 2 shootouts.
Okay, and how'd you do in them?
I won both of them.
Oh, very good.
Against
How many did you score?
Mika and Jeremy, right?
Yeah, against Mika and Jeremy.
And what were the scores in that shootout then for you?
The one against Mika, I won 3-2, and then in the shootout, and then against Jeremy, I won, I believe, 5-4 or 4-3.
Okay, so that went a little extra. It went to the harder shot then.
It went to the one against Jeremy went to the sudden death. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
then the 5-4, yeah. Or I guess depending on how many you missed in the.
I think it
First
was I think it's 4-3 because we both missed one in the normal one.
Okay.
He missed his first one and then made his next 3. I made my first 3 and missed my last one. It was 3-3. And then he missed his first sudden death, and then I made my first sudden death.
Oh boy.
How did that? I guess take me through when you're seeing him miss. Did you shoot first or second in the shootout?
So he won the lag, and he chose to shoot first. So
okay, so you shot second. So how did it? I guess after he missed that, what's going through your head when you're walking up there to shoot the game winner or the match winner at that point for the second time in a row after just missing the match winner?
I was like, I just saw that Steyer and Phil are watching, so I was like, well, here we go. Gonna either look like a fool or this is gonna be really cool. and I made it, and I was like, thank God it's over.
Yeah,
stuff.
That's got to be heart pounding at that
Yeah,
point.
when I missed that one to win, I was gosh darn it. It was very frustrating.
Yeah, but you got to get rid of that right away, and I'm sure you do. That feeling,
Yeah.
In order to stay positive.
Yeah, as soon as he missed that next one right after I missed and then he missed, I was like, okay, let's not do this again. Let's just get it over.
How long do you spend shooting that shot, shooting those?
I really don't ever. I mean, I've practiced it a couple times.
Really?
But I don't shoot that shot a lot.
Okay, so for you then, it's just like you're playing in a game, and this is the shot you have.
Yeah.
During a rack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a pretty good attitude toward that too. Like that separates and singles it out a little bit. This is just the middle of another rack, and this is the shot I have to shoot. I like that.
Yeah.
I can see there's a lot of guys out there probably spend hours just shooting these spot shots.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I mean, I've played in the Michigan one twice, and I've played in the Wisconsin one last year. And so generally speaking, they have 10, 12 tables set up, and basically all the pros the night before, or all the players who are playing it, want to practice on it. Well, if you get 64 men, 64 women that want to play on 17 tables, you start loading up 2, 3, 4 people at a time. And what's kind of the general consensus practice is that you get to throw up the balls for one rack, and then at the end of it, you get to take the 10 ball and shoot it a few times, 2, 3 times. And that's how you practice before the event. Is you throw the balls up, you shoot a rack, you spot up the 10 ball and you shoot that 2 times, 3 times, and then the next person comes in and rotates through. So, I mean, the night before the event, I mean, everybody understands that this is kind of what you're here for. At the end of the day, I don't know exactly how the percentage of breakdown as far as shootouts, but I would guess 50% of the let's say the last 32 matches go to a shootout. I'm just making that number up, but that seems right. I guess not anymore now that they did the third set. You have to get to a 3-3.
Yeah, that's better. The third set.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but I guess the way that it used to be, where if you just got 1-1, it was a shootout immediately. I would guess that close to 50% of those do. Again, I'm just making up numbers, but the players understand that that's probably a shot you're going to be shooting at. So there's value in shooting it in every single one of these racks that you practice. I don't know. I think it's exciting, if nothing else. I mean, you can definitely tell there's like when you have 2 good players, or you just have 2 players that go into a shootout. I mean, it's almost like there's electricity in the room. It's like you just hear a buzz, and things get a little quieter in some areas. They get a little louder in other areas, and you could just see that everybody just zones in on a shootout. Everybody just huddles around and watches it. I mean, Sam, when you had your shootouts, how many people do you think were giving attention to your match that didn't watch nearly a single game of it before that shootout? How many do you think was added?
I would definitely say that when me and Jeremy were just playing the normal race to 4, there's probably 5 to 10 people watching. And then once we got to the shootout, once it got kind of, deep and close into the shootout, I'd say 20, 25 people.
Yeah.
So nearly triples. 2.5 to 2.5 to 3 times the amount of. That's kind of what I see.
It's definitely a great
they're
format
exciting.
for watching, I'd say, because it really gets the fans into it. Like when Nayuki and Jesus Tensio went to that shootout and they shot and they
It was
made
like 15 to
14 balls.
14. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 14
Oh,
balls that
nice.
they made, and they just kept draining it. And they had the entire room stopped playing their matches to watch.
I bet they did.
It
It's
was
like the bowlers, when they get close to 300, they get 10 or 11 in a row. Everybody wants to watch that last one.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
It's an interesting format. It's pretty good. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, obviously there's some feuds going on between Matchroom and Predator when it comes to their formats and just in general. I mean, this dynamic over who wins out I think it's going to be predicated a lot off of whether or not this type of format is going to catch on. And I think if you're on site, you love it. I mean, it's just such a cool thing to just hover around a table and watch. I will say that the setup usually for Predator events is, if there is one thing that Predator will need to work on in the future, it is the way that they set up an event. Because if you go to the U.S. Open, that Matchroom does, you can literally go nearly 270 degrees around a pool table to watch from all different types of angles. And they put them in clusters of tables to where they literally set up their rooms so that you have access to tables from all different directions. Predator kind of just puts them in a corner and you kind of sit around and watch from there. But I mean, and Sam, you know this because your match with Vitali was in the back corner. You can't see those. You can't see those matches. There's a giant screen in between where the people have to stand and where the tables are. That has the score of the match, but that score of the match is facing the players, not anybody in back. So, I mean, unless you have your phone out following along with your phone on the score, you can have zero idea what any of those players on the back rows are doing.
Yeah. The only thing I would say that a Predator did better than Matchroom, which it'd probably be harder for Matchroom to do, but Predator had a stream on every table. So you could actually watch every table.
Yep.
In the US Open, They had about 24 tables, but you could only watch 2 of them for free. And then the other one was, the final match, you'd have to buy DAZN or something.
Yeah. Sure. No, I mean, there's a lot of things that Matchroom does better. There's a lot of things that Predator does better. But as far as like the on-site experience,
yes, yeah,
Matchroom does it way better. Predator can do better.
I mean,
the bummer thing about it was like I think that they just really organized that room quite poorly when it comes to what they could have done with it. You kind of walk through the doors and there's those 4 amateur tables that are sitting right up front. I mean, they could have moved those back to the back left corner, got them completely out of there. It's going to be better for the amateurs because they don't have a bunch of people walking through the doors all the time. And then you basically have, a 50 by 50 square area where you could end up adding seating for, the pro event. It was just organized poorly. I think when it comes to, you just can't watch any of those back tables and follow along with it efficiently.
Yeah, personally, I think for that room, they should have, where they had that back wall of pool tables, they should have brought those tables, all 13 of them, over to the left and put the tournament desk on that wall, and then put seating.
Sure.
Put seating by those tables so that way people can actually watch. I mean, there was doors over there, so you didn't have to walk through the tables. You could have just walked around the room and then through those doors, and you're right there in those seating. I think that personally, that's how they should have done it, but I don't know.
Well, the people who run the tournaments, the directors, they need to talk to the players. Maybe a little more communication in that regard. I know when I ran some tournaments in the state of Wisconsin.
I don't think the players, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think the players would rather play in the corners by themselves without any hassle or any, riffraff from the spectators.
Well, possibly for that reason, yes. But I mean, for the reason Sam was talking about, the flow of the galleries.
Sure.
and the availability to watch. And, if you want to know how to do that, the players know. And I think they just need some more communication with the players all the way around.
For
directors do.
For spectating, they need to fix their setup. But for players, the players probably enjoy playing on those back tables.
Probably.
Yeah,
When
a little.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
sure.
played Kang Lee
Less distractions.
back there, like there's nobody back there, and it was just me and Kang just playing. Nobody watching except for the people on the stream. I got no clues on the stream though, you know.
Sure.
Yep.
I
I
got
just
a
think that
question for you about
if you're
your.
well, I just think that if you're going to base one of these pro events around having the amateurs there and like integrating those two things together with, getting the pros in front of the amateur players, you got to give them a chance to be able to watch whoever they want to watch. I mean, even if you only moved over the tables, every single one of those, that cluster of tables over, let's say 7 feet, you could then put a row of tables behind those back tables and allow the players, allow the fans to walk around the back side of it and sit at tables just like you did on the front. And that really doesn't disturb the entire area all that much, right? It's like 7 feet. It's not that much difference. You just got if you're gonna build it around amateur players so that you can get the pros in front of the amateur players, then give them the opportunity to watch it. But I mean, at the end of the day, like that's my criticism of the event, and that's about it. Everything else was great. And yeah, I mean, Matt is right. The field was quite a bit weaker than you would expect it to be. With that being said, there was still a lot of top players there, but there's a lot of the Europeans, especially like all of the Polish players, the Dennis Grabas, the Mario He type of players, and then a lot of the Asian players that weren't there, at least on the men's side, that weren't there just because of the travel schedule with when you're trying to get visas and you have to get a visa to get into the US and you have to get a visa to get into the UK, getting a visa there, back, and then home, it's not probably easy. So it kind of makes sense. It's a scheduling thing that when you have these two giant promoters that are doing these big events, they're going to be stepping on each other's toes. And as of right now, the players are skipping the Predator events. They're going to the Matchroom events. We'll see if that flips in the future. But for right now, at least as far as getting the players in every single event, the Matchroom is winning out. We'll see if it continues. But I guess, Rob, what were you going to ask?
Yeah, it's a pool playing question, and an aiming type of a question for Sam. There's different aiming techniques out there. I want to know what you use for the spot shot. Do you set the cue ball where you have a perfect half a ball hit, and that's what you look at and that's what you aim for? Or do you aim for a specific spot on the object ball and don't care about half a ball, quarter ball, 3/4, or any of that stuff? Or do you try to spin the ball in a little bit on a spot shot? A little bit with some running, maybe try to, hit it a little more toward the short rail and let the English take it in. How do you approach that yourself for your aiming technique?
So I really don't have one, but
Okay.
I noticed a lot of players, they like to set the cue ball pretty close to the rail. They set their hand on the rail. I don't like doing that with the spot shot. I pull it about half a diamond to 3/4 of a diamond away from the rail, so that way my hand is laying on the table.
Yeah, and that's more of a 45-degree angle there then.
Yeah, and I just hit it with dead middle, and
no juice on the cue ball whatsoever.
nothing, lag speed, dead middle, with the slide.
So a little softer then.
Yeah, just simple lag speed.
Okay.
The slide from the table is going to cause it to not scratch in the side, so because it just goes straight into the rail.
Okay.
And so I know that doing that, there's no chance of scratching. So I just go around, look at the potting angle. I don't really aim for a specific spot. I just aim at the potting angle. I mean, I'm not.
Okay.
Sure.
So you're actually visually above your eyes, looking just at that angle versus a projected spot on the ball.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the angle that I believe that ball is going to go into the pocket.
Okay. So your cue angle really is what you're talking about in comparison to the angle needed to pot the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a little different explanation than I would expect to hear from a lot of players. Who shoot.
That's how I shoot them too.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Okay.
I think that I mean, there's a fine line between, and this kind of comes down to people individually, but there's a fine line between, paralysis by analysis and just doing what you've done a million times. Like I do know a lot of players that, they'll get in there early on and they'll try to find a spot in the background and they'll set their cue ball in the same spot and then they just shoot at the object in the background.
Oh, I see. Sure.
So
That's
they
like half
ignore
the ball
that
hit
the
technique. Yeah.
they ignore that the 10 ball is even there, and then they just shoot it. If there's a light switch on the wall, and you put your cue ball right here, and you shoot your cue ball right at that light switch.
Right.
The 10 ball being in the way is, it's just an obstacle on the way to the light switch, and that if you hit that light switch, you're going to make the shot. I know a lot of people that do stuff like that, but then it just doesn't quite work out. Well, it just doesn't quite work out eventually when it comes to like moving it back. Like if you make all 4 of yours doing that, that's great. But now you got to move the cue ball back, and maybe you can still get on that same line, but you're gonna have a little bit more awkward cueing. And I think that's the biggest hurdle with the further back. It's not that the shot is 8 inches farther, because you're already shooting a shot that's 8 foot away, or 7 foot away. What's 7 foot 7 inches more? It's 7 foot 7 inches. What is that? It doesn't really mean anything. The reason it's tougher when you move it back, and Sam, you can agree or disagree with this, or correct me on this. It has nothing to do necessarily, I don't think, with the extra 7 or 8 inches. It's all about that awkward cueing, because now you have to cue like this little halfway with the off of the rail. You're being almost forced to go on the rail, or shortening up your bridge to be 3 or 4 inches. You're really not having much of a bridge. So can that aiming technique still work? Yes. But now you kind of have the awkward cueing of being further back, and at that point in time, you have so many things going into that working out that
make it a little tougher, make it a little awkward.
But do you agree with that, Sam? With the moving it back, it's less about the further distance and more about just the more awkward cueing.
Yes, I would say so. I don't think it makes much of a difference. I know that when you pull it back that far, you can't really set your hand on the table anymore. You have to use the rail.
Yeah.
You have to use the rail, and that definitely makes it a little bit more awkward, I would say. So it overall is definitely a tougher shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And of course, you're getting closer to that corner pocket. So, you kind of take away that side bridge off of the rail that you were talking about, that you don't use anyways. You bridge off of the table. When you're that far back, you're actually kind of taking away that rail bridge. You're almost forcing people to bridge off of the bottom rail as opposed to the side rail.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the getting used to these slide on the new cloth and stuff when you first start out? How long does it take you to adjust, you think?
It took me about 2 matches. Once I got done with Jeremy, I finally, when I got done playing Jeremy and the next day I was playing Kang, I really had my cue ball good.
Okay.
It really took me until the second day, actually. Just the first day was getting used to the tables, and then the second day, I was a lot better.
How much did the tables change just in that one day? Much at all?
Not a lot. I would say there's more of a change. There's more of a change in the third day, from the second to the third day. It took a little bit more to draw the ball. It took a little bit more spin. It didn't slide quite as much.
And what do you adjust on your stroke or your distance in your bridge or anything for that?
I just stroke it a little bit more than I was
longer or a little more,
just a little, just a little bit, just putting maybe cueing down a little bit more instead of where in the first or second day you didn't have to cue as low because it just automatically just shot straight back.
Okay, now when you're going low on the cue ball, you're not elevating the back of the stick. You're just going lower with the cue stick, correct?
Yeah, unless I'm on the rail. Yeah.
Right, of course. Yeah. Okay, because that's good to know for, if the majority of people watching the podcast are between 450 and 600, and that's probably where they lie, someplace in there. That's very important for them in their regular game of pool, to maybe be aware of that the lowering of the stick and changing the tip position on the cue ball versus the angle of the cue stick, because there's a difference there, and to know that in advance, of course, is an important thing in pool if you want to get better.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, you had a good time.
Yeah, it was a great time. It was definitely.
How much money did you win?
I believe 5th through 8th paid $3,281.
Ooh, and what was your entry fee? You get that paid for by your sponsors?
Not this tournament. No.
No, you didn't.
I believe it was a $350 entry.
Oh, 10 times what your entry they got back.
Yeah. Yep.
Pretty nice for somebody in high school.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't a bad payday. Definitely. Yeah. It was definitely a good tournament. I would say that I definitely want to go to more of these Predator events. I want to.
Sure. And now, how's your school coming with that? I mean, you're not in school then when you're at these events.
Well, yeah, I'm online.
You do some schoolwork then while you're at the events.
Sometimes, yeah. Yep. I mean, like if I have like a whole day off, then yeah, I'll do some assignments, but mainly I'm on the practice table.
Okay.
Very good. So I guess we can address New Jersey pool players' question. What did you think of the tables?
I got to practice on the 7-footers and the 9-footers. Personally, I thought the 9-footers were a lot better than the 7-footers. I thought that the 7-footers were weird. Like the cloth was a little slow, but the rails were super springy.
I think the rails are the same between the 9s and the 7s, but with how small the 7-footers are, those springy rails, it seems normal on a 9-footer because there's just so much more room. But on the 7-footer, it just seems like that extra springiness. It just seems like it. I mean, it has the appearance, and this was kind of like a lot of people's criticism, including mine, of like the red label diamonds versus the blue label diamonds. Is that little imperfection with the rail where they're just a little bit lower? It just seems like the ball picks up speed coming off of the cushion on a red label, where a blue label plays more natural. Yeah. And I look at those tables a lot like that. I mean, they just fly off the rails. It looks like every rail you hit, it picks up speed. And obviously that's not possible. But the idea of it is they come off so slower on the diamonds and even the valley tables that most people play on, either whether it's diamonds or valleys. They come off at such a slower pace that you're kind of and it's pretty close to the same speed, give or take, between the valleys and the diamonds, that you just kind of get accustomed to seeing it come off at that pace. And anything that's faster than that appears like it's way faster than what it should be. And on the 7-footers, that's kind of the case. But the 9-footers, it just seems to be more natural that it comes off that way. And I actually like the 9-footers in that sense because it takes less stroke to get the cue ball where you need it to be when you have the rails as lively as they are. Yeah.
You know, when you force your stroke, when you have to force your stroke or have to lay off of it because of the springiness and the cue ball control you want, anytime that's out of your normal range, you go to the least or the most, it's going to be tougher to play to the level that you want to play for sure. And I think the amateurs out there, you know, you got to get a grip on that. And that really makes pool tough. When you got slow cloth and springy rails, we play in a place that's got 7-foot valleys with Simonis, 860 Simonis on it and springy rails.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I hope they're leveled well.
Well, I'll tell you, one tournament recently, there was 3 or 4 680s there playing. Okay, regional, little local thing, and none of them won their matches under those conditions because they just couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
There was even a 720 there that just raced a 6 and 9 ball. I think he won 2 games. He was out of the tournament because it just blew his mind, that the speed of that. You don't expect that on a valley.
It can be tough, yeah.
I mean, even with regular rails, but these were the springy rails.
But so Sam, I guess any additional comments on the tables?
I do think going back to the U.S. Open and stuff, when they had the diamonds and things, I think that the diamonds still play better than the Predator tables. I think that I played better on the Predator tables than I did the diamonds. I just think the diamonds are a little bit more like they're better ratio. The cloth goes with the rails. I think speaking with 7-footers, I'd say 7-foot diamonds are way better than the Predator 7-footers.
Okay.
But the 9-foots are pretty close. They're
I
not
agree
too
with
far
that.
from each other.
I agree with that. I just bought it. I just bought a Predator 9-footer, so I just got it in my house last night.
Brand new.
Set up and
Brand
everything.
new. Yep. So, well, no, because I thought I was going to have room for a 9-footer and a 7-footer, and I came up 1.5 feet short. And I was just hoping that I would have room for them, but I don't. So I have a 7-footer, 7-foot Valley, and now a 9-foot Predator. But I pushed the Predator off into the corner for now because, as Lonnie Fox is in here, I've been practicing Lonnie. I've been practicing. Lonnie and I are playing the VNEA Masters together in 3 days. So we're going to be. She's actually
You're
on her
playing
way. The reason
scotch
she's not on
together
the
in the Masters?
Yep, scotch together. So the reason she's not on the
Okay.
show today is because she's actually driving out to Vegas right now. Sounds like absolute torture to me, especially since
What
she's from
resort
Michigan.
is it at this year? VNEA.
It is
Valley?
it's at Westgate. It's at Westgate.
Okay,
So
Westgate. All right.
I am flying out on Wednesday. Lonnie's driving out right now, but I've been practicing, and my 9-footer is not being touched until at the end of VNEA because the table that I have outside of that is a 7-foot Valley. So, yeah. But I guess I wouldn't mind giving my opinion. So the New Jersey pool player about the tables. We'll talk about the 7-footers first. I kind of talked a little bit about the rails, right? So they're a little bit springier. They're way springier. So I know that I played the team event at BCA, the amateur team event with some of my friends that I play with regularly, and they were having issues shooting balls down the rail. Especially on like sharper angles, like if the ball's just a little bit off, let's say the third diamond. On a diamond with speed, proper speed, you can basically hit pretty easily at about the first diamond and it's still going to fall in. On a Valley, you can hit pretty close to the second diamond and it's still going to fall in. On a Predator, you have to hit significantly sooner in, especially if you're going to hit it at speed. But let's just talk about a constant speed. Because those rails are a little bit springier, they push out a little bit harder.
Oh,
so
sure.
once it goes into the rail, it doesn't come off as gently as it would on a Valley and a diamond table. It comes off a little bit hotter. So because of that, it's going to get into the facing of the side of the corner pocket, the outside of the pocket as you're shooting down the rail. It's going to get into that a little bit deeper. And if you get a little bit deeper into that at that angle, with the way that those pockets are cut and the way that the diamond tables are cut too, it spits it out. Well, on a Valley, the way they're cut, they kind of accept all of those shots. But on a diamond and a Predator, they'll spit that ball out if it comes in a little bit sharper. Well, if it's springing off the rail a little bit harder than a diamond would, it's going to get deeper into that facing. So my teammates were, they were really struggling going down the rails, especially at speed, because of that reason. So
Sure.
Is it a worse table because of that? I don't know. I mean, if you've ever played English
More
8-ball with the
difficult
rounded
possibly.
pockets,
Worse, I wouldn't put that on it.
yeah, I mean, they definitely play tougher in that sense. But if you've ever played English 8-ball, where you have like the rounded corners where it's like a circle,
Oh yeah.
you can't hit the rail going in at all. And I
No.
struggle with that every single time I play English 8-ball because if you touch
In fact,
the rail,
you have to hit the backside of the rail in the pocket.
you have to shoot to the outside of the pocket,
Like
or
a
you have to
snooker
shoot
table.
to the heart of the pocket or to the facing of the pocket.
Right.
And that's the thing I struggle with the most when I switch to English 8-ball for, the three times every 5 years that I go with the Mosconi Cup is you got to get it to that facing. And it's really, really, really difficult to do. It's as 9-ball players, you're really conditioned to catch that rail going into the pocket. You're trying to hit the rail about 2 to 3 inches up from the inside of the pocket. I mean, you're conditioned to do that. I mean, everybody does that. I mean, from when you can basically learn how to hold a pool cue, that you want to catch the pocket or the rail going into the pocket. That's the easiest way to make the ball. Where on a Predator table, you can still do that, but you have to do it significantly closer to the pocket. So if you miss it by a little bit, it just gets tougher. So I guess New Jersey pool player, I'm hoping that kind of answered your question about the tables. As far as the tables go, I think the 9-footer plays just about as good as the diamond, probably just as good. But I mean, if I can say this about the Predator cloth, it's just not on the level of Simonis yet. I know Tyler made a post a while ago and got a lot of slack about the pre and post flood Simonis, but the Arcadia cloth it's just grittier. It's a lot grittier, and when it's grittier, it's going to catch the cue ball, especially if you're using inside or outside spin. It catches that deflection so much quicker, but because it's grittier, it catches quicker. But because it's grittier, it doesn't come back as much. So it
Yeah.
holds it holds the ball on the line that it is. So if let's say you're gonna, the ball's on the third diamond, you shoot that ball with high outside spin to throw the ball towards the pocket, right? Well, if you're shooting that with high outside spin, the throw you end up getting further out, but it ends up staying out there. So you end up overcutting the balls significantly more than what you would normally do on Simonis cloth. It's just a different type of cloth, and if you play the game the same way, it's just going to be tough. I think most of the cloths play on the Simonis side of things as opposed to the Arcadia side of things. So it's just easier to transition from Simonis to Arcadia. With that being said, I mean, if we always played on Arcadia and then Simonis introduced this, we would all say that Simonis is bad. It's just what you're used to at the end of the day. And I mean, I guess that's from my 5 or 6 or 7 events that I've played on this cloth and these tables. That's kind of my takeaway from what they are. So I don't know.
I also feel like the Arcadia loses its slide faster too. Like,
Okay,
I agree.
so it basically dries out, firms up faster. Yeah.
But I think most of them do. I think that's the thing with Simonis is it holds a little bit longer. Like the shelf life, the initial shock value shelf life, we'll say, of Simonis lasts the longest. But I don't know anything about this as far as like the how these things work. But it seems like Simonis holds up the longest, but then dies the fastest. Like the quality of it after 8, 9, 10 months is worse than, let's say, an Andy cloth, for example. I don't. I mean, again, I'm just
definitely
like,
worse than a Royal Pro, which goes on a lot of carom tables.
yeah, that stuff lasts forever, right?
Yeah, this lasts forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheds the dirt.
Yeah.
I really
mean,
think it depends on how you take care of your tables, though, because our local pool hall here, they had diamonds with the tournament blue Simonis 860, and those tables played good for about the first week, and then they played terrible because they had a lot of people in there, but the people didn't take care of the tables. That place is shut down. They're not a pool hall anymore. But I got this pool hall in Peoria. This I don't know. He got new cloth on the tables like 5 months ago, but they still play close to new because he takes very good care of them, and it's way better if you take care of them.
Oh yeah. You should tend to your cloth if you own a pool table or a pool hall for sure. I got a something about Tyler and Margaret here, that in Wisconsin they are the in-house pros at a pool hall in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, called the Varsity Club. And for the viewers out there that want lessons from these two professionals, they have keys to the Varsity Club, and so you don't have to abide by the hours that the club is open. They will do private lessons for you or groups on off hours. When they're, of course, in town. And I give a shout out to Jeremy West, who just recently sold the Varsity Club, for all the help he gave me in purchasing the Gabriel table that he had in there. That we took it out. I have it in my basement now, and they're putting in a streaming booth there, and they're going to do kind of what Matt Apple did in Appleton. So that's a good little shout out. And then I want to say something about, if you're looking for a table mechanic and you're in the Midwest, you're Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota for sure. I want to recommend a fella from Rochester, Minnesota named Don Hayes. And he has a fella in Wisconsin that meets him anywhere and helps him with setup and tear down for tables, named Dave Geiger. I want to shout out to these fellas for doing the work they did on transporting and setting my 10-foot Gabriel up. The slates on the Gabriel are 2.5-inch solid granite. They weigh around 700 pounds a piece. Yeah, about 700 pounds a piece. And they took them downstairs. And it was something. There was 4 of us, and it was everything possible that 4 people could do. I would recommend, if you ever have a carom table, a Gabriel with the granite slate, that you don't set it up in your basement or upstairs anywhere where you have to go up or downstairs,
Main
and
level.
have a like a forklift, a mini forklift of some type to help you out and set these things, because picking up one slate, 4 people, it was a struggle.
Wasn't that your nickname back in high school? Mini forklift, Rob? Did you just pick it up and throw it over your head? Just
Yeah, and we had one of the fellas helping us was a 6'3", 240-pound guy who works out every day at the gym, and he struggled.
heavy.
These things, those slates for those carom tables are brutally heavy.
Well, I don't. You want to, Sam? You want to answer Lil Chris's question? I don't know if.
What do you got there?
What does Sam think he needs to do to take his game to the next level?
Next
without
level?
just saying practice more? Be specific.
Well, I think, I mean, I'm not sure. That's a pretty tough question. I'd say,
In other words, too, I could say it this way: what do you think your weaknesses are right now? If you
And
have,
how do you improve on them?
Yes.
well, I do think it includes practice. I would say that, I need to do more drills, I'd say.
When you make mistakes in a match, what are they routinely? Do they fit into a category?
Position play, I'd say.
Okay, so cue ball control.
Yeah, cue ball control. I think a big one would definitely be, to take my game to the next level, would be playing in more pro events, getting more experience, get the nerves out, get
Gotcha.
more seasoned.
Quit yelling at Nate for watching you play. That would help too.
Season.
You get more of that positive energy in your corner.
Yeah.
We're talking about that right now.
Hey, I may be in high school. Watch me here. Take a look at how I'm performing. A little more gutsy kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the ladies. We got to talk about the ladies' side of things too, obviously, because they had just an absolute phenomenal finish as well. Yeah, you got it, Nate. I got your back, dog. Allison Fisher comes up a little bit short against Chieh-Yu Chou in the finals, 2-1. What a great match that one turned out to be. Christina to catch and Christina Zlateva. It's not good to be a Christina if you're in the semifinals, apparently. Wan Ling Wang, Margaret Fafalova, Wei Su Chen, and Sia Sao were in the quarterfinals. And I do want to give a shout out. I guess I won't go back to all of the last 16, but Kaylee McIntosh and Priscilla Kinsley, congratulations on 2 women making the final 16. It's always nice to see that. And then Caroline Powell, got to give you a shout out. 1 out of the final 16, but the newest onboard player. So we want to give her a shout out because she's an onboard player, just like Sam and I. So, do you have any idea on the why they started the women later than the men, Sam?
I don't know, honestly.
Because there's no event coming up this week that travel. I know the Michigan. They're doing that with the Michigan Open. They're starting the men sooner, but that is because the U.S. Open is I believe the men would have started on or finished on Saturday, and then the U.S. Open started on Monday. So I know that they moved that up. So the men are now finishing on Friday as well. And the women is finishing on Saturday. I don't know if maybe they're doing this with all of their events now to stagger them. I guess I'm not really sure. You don't know either.
If I had to take a guess, it would be because the men's final day was Saturday and the women's final day was Sunday. If I had to take a guess, it would be that they wanted the stream table to be focused on the men's semifinals and the men's finals, and then the next day the women's semifinals and the women's finals.
That makes sense.
It could be, yeah. I know that because of
against each other for stream time.
Yeah.
Well, I know because of that. I mean, there was a lot of I mean, and maybe they did this on purpose as far as that goes too, because I know that there was a lot of dead tables. I say dead tables is like there was a lot of tables that people were not playing on
Yeah.
while matches were going on, and maybe they wanted to designate those as practice tables. So, I mean, that is one thing about Predator that I think they also need to get right is they need to have the ability to practice. Matchroom is getting better about this. They were very, very bad at it too. I think, in fact, the World Championships like 3 years ago, they had 128 players and they only had like 2 practice tables or something like that, and they kind of got knocked for it. Now they have like a minimum of 6, I believe. So, I mean, you just got to. I mean, if you're gonna have a professional event with professional players, I mean, you got to give them a chance to warm up and practice for their matches outside of 30 minutes before. I mean, you see the golfers. I mean, when golfers aren't out there, doing their 18 holes, they're on the practice greens, they're on the driving range, they're constantly warming up. I mean, you're talking that some of them are out there 3, 4, 5 hours before the round even starts, and they're still there another 2 or 3 or 4 hours after the round ends. I mean, that's like saying, all right, well, you're like telling a golfer that they can only.
Yeah, the thing about those other kind of sports, a lot of sports compared to pool and tournaments, is there's a lot of players right up until the end. In golf, if you've got 60 players that start the event, the last day and the last minute, you got 60 players. Where in pool, if you start with 60 players, the last day you might only have 10. And now all the preparation, all the work put in to run the tournament and having all the tables there is kind of moot. What are you going to do with all these tables and no people to play on, kind of? And then people go home. Where in other sports they stay till the end.
Yeah, and Lonnie's right there. Yeah, and in Michigan, I remember that all of the players basically, if you wanted to practice, you had to wait until 11 o'clock at night, and then
what?
Huh?
Sorry, you can go ahead.
And then everybody wanted to practice then. So
yeah, the one thing that I liked about the practicing at the Predator event was even if all the 9-foots were taken, all you had to do was go upstairs. There's 20 tables open. They're 7-footers, but it's still a way to stay in stroke.
Sure.
They have that amateur event going along with it. You can just go up there and just hit balls, just stay warm.
Sure, stay loose.
Yeah.
Keep that arm loose.
I guess so on the ladies' side of things, I mean, I personally, I mean, she's a friend, I would say. So Kristina Zlateva, I was really impressed with how she played in this event. She beat a lot of really, really, really great players, and she beat them pretty resoundingly. So, I mean, that was one of my big takeaways watching her play. Was there any standouts for you, Sam?
Not really for the women's set. I didn't really watch much of it. I know that Savannah Easton was playing really well. I know that she got one out of the final 16. I'm pretty sure. Okay. I think she lost to Kaylee McIntosh to get into the last 16. Yep. But there was one more player. I can't remember. Margaret was playing really good too.
She got 5th, 6th, or 5th.
Margaret got 5th through 8th.
5th through 8th. Okay, so she ended up relatively well. Just where you ended up, kind of in your group. How many women compared to men were there? Less.
I think it was the same.
It was nearly the same.
Okay.
I think the men had about 4 more because I think there was 4 buys in the women's.
Yeah, because Kristina Zlateva had a Kristina Zlateva had a bye, and then she didn't drop a set. She beat Kaylee McIntosh, who's a great player, 2-0 straight sets. Then she beat Kaylee McIntosh in straight sets, and then she beat Priscilla Kinsley in straight sets, and then she beat Wei Su Chen in straight sets, and then lost to the eventual champion in straight sets. But beating Wei Su Chen, who's a 760-ish Fargo, something like that, in straight sets, that's a great event.
It is.
That's a great event. She's been playing. I think she's been playing pretty much full time now. She's been traveling quite a bit. I think she's actually been in the States for quite a while. But I don't know. I guess that's my highlight. It's always great to see Allison Fisher back up there.
Yeah, she's been in the finals of a lot of women's events lately.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's been crushing it. She has been absolutely crushing it.
They used a shot I just saw on Facebook this morning. They're explaining how to measure up a 2-rail kick shot, and they used an example of her in one of the shots she had in the tournament up there. She had a 2-rail kick cut shot, which was, the ball was way off the rail. It wasn't just right next to the rail, and it showed how she measured for that and hit it.
Yeah.
Kind of like a ticky tree cushion.
So I guess one other thing that I wanted to chat about before closing out for the week. I know we had a large discussion last week on Eklund Kachi not calling a foul on himself, and I think we'd be remiss to say that we saw another one of those situations this week where in Kristina Zlateva's match, actually, let's see. I guess I probably can't pull it. Maybe I can pull it up. Chieh-Yu Chou played a masse shot around the 9-ball and ended up clipping the 9-ball trying to get to the 8-ball, and didn't call a foul on herself. And John Lehman didn't see the foul either, apparently.
Oh, really?
Not called. So that was kind of a weird situation. I will pull up the video here in just a second, but I think. I mean, what do you do in a situation like that? I mean, I guess.
Did her opponent call it? Then
the opponent didn't call it either.
It was very obvious too.
Really? That's unusual.
It was a slight. Yeah, it was a bit of a slight tickle. I mean, I don't know that it was super obvious, but it was.
I think the ref should have noticed it. It was pretty obvious. I mean, I've seen calls that were made that the ball barely moves and they're able to make the call. I mean, I know everybody makes a mistake here and there, but that one was kind of there. And the player should have called it on herself. I'm pretty sure she saw it. If you're a player and you foul, personally, I think you should be honest and give the ball to them. I mean,
it's rarely as a player that you don't see the foul yourself.
Yes,
happens. That's pretty rare. For you to go, well, I don't think I fouled. Well, what's the think? There's no think involved in it. It's either a foul or not.
Mm-hmm.
Either a bad hit or not.
So here, I'll hopefully this shows up all right. So here's the shot. Maybe we can. Yeah, here we go. So we have. This is the setup. She's trying to bend the cue ball around this 9-ball. And only one of the commentators actually sees it. I think that Tim DeRuiter doesn't actually see it, who's also in the comm box. There's the shot. I mean, you can see the 9-ball tickle, and it doesn't end up mattering, of course. Kristina ends up running out, but
yeah, I'm glad she still ran out because that.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a much bigger controversy.
Yeah, had she made the shot, yeah, definitely.
It moves.
That moved an eighth of an inch at least.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely tickles. I mean, what's our thoughts on this? Is this the same level of vitriol we should have towards this player as we had towards Kachi? What do we think?
I think absolutely. Yeah, you got to hold people accountable.
I mean,
for what they do.
I know Kachi definitely what he did. He definitely felt him touch that ball. I mean, he moved as soon as he touched it. This one, I mean, I can't say
that she saw the 9-ball too, right? She saw that. There's no way.
Yeah, I know.
How could she?
I mean, she had
the ball's 4 inches away, right? The 8-ball's 4 inches away.
She didn't. She's probably not telling the truth. I mean,
her eyes had to
you can't really say that she did if she says she didn't, because she'll just argue it and it'll be an endless argument.
Yeah.
And they didn't call it a foul. They didn't call it a foul.
He said, she said.
Yeah, go. I mean, if it's kind of a weird situation, I guess.
It's really odd that nobody saw it there, though.
Yeah, I mean, the ref pointed out right away that
the ref?
that 9-ball moved, and then nobody said anything about it.
What was the ref looking at? I mean,
I don't know.
Shot, you'd think his eyes would be really focused on
it. Was, yeah. I mean,
But nobody's
don't know.
perfect, are we?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you can miss calls from time to time. I mean, it's not like it moved a ton, but it
I
definitely
mean,
moved. I mean,
you
we
can
all saw
also
that.
tell when the cue ball goes off of its path too.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
cue ball had to deflect a little to the right. That's why
Yeah.
she missed the shot, probably. So there's that. I know in three-course when we look really close, you can actually make contact with a ball, and it just goes like this. It just oscillates. And if you're watching the reflection of the lights on the ball, the lights will move.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you hit that ball. Because it hasn't, if you tried to measure where it went on the table, it didn't go anywhere. You just ticked it so it just oscillated and went back.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't happen on this particular shot. No, that 9-ball moved over.
And of course, I mean, part of the reason why I guess we had a larger discussion last week, or at least that I wanted to, was because Kachi's done that in the past. I mean, I said the situation where it happened in the past. I don't think that this player has had that. I mean, I can't think of anything where this has happened in the past for her.
So there's no history there of it. So an honest mistake, we say? I don't know. Give her the benefit of the doubt. Honest mistake.
It's hard to know, right? It's hard to know.
It's a little different because with Kachi, he actually ended up winning the rack from it.
Yeah.
With this situation, she still lost the rack.
Right.
I think in that situation she's supposed to, since she fouled. Kachi should have lost the rack too, considering he fouled.
Yeah.
But
karma didn't work in that case.
And then I'm not sure, was that the finals that he did that in?
Yeah, that was the finals.
And then
he ended up losing the finals anyways, but
like 13-5, yeah.
So Kachi, so maybe karma did get him in a sense that, but he was already down.
That was the Masters, the World Masters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think that she's a more likable player maybe across the board than Kachi. Although, I mean, Kachi is a phenomenal player, and I don't think that you'll find anybody that doesn't respect his game. It's more or less his attitude or his nonchalantness, or obviously just kind of his I don't want to say his antics, but his antics off the table, we'll say, of not waking up for a match and then blaming Emily Frazier for not waking him up, and stuff like this. I mean, it's just some silly stuff that that happened at the Premier League pool a couple of years ago. He overslept through his match and ended up forfeiting. I believe it was against Shane, if I'm not mistaken, too, where he just didn't show up to his match on time, and it's because he either didn't set an alarm or he slept through it or something like that. And his response was, "Well,
10 ball too, I'm pretty sure."
Did he?
Yeah, maybe he did. He showed up like 6 minutes late and had to forfeit a game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's happened there too. And then it's just his response to Emily Frazier. She said this on the podcast was, "Well, why didn't you come wake me up? You know which room is mine." But I mean, at the end of the day,
really?
Yeah.
How convenient, huh?
It was actually kind of funny because Emily, I think on the podcast, she's like, "What am I? Your mother?" It was a pretty good soundbite.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Lil Chris. But a foul's a foul. She saw it. It's wrong. Foul's a foul.
Correct.
Doesn't matter the outcome. They both messed up.
Yeah, it is what it is for sure. The facts don't lie.
Yeah, I mean, I love the guy, but I think he's a fair-minded enough individual to know that he messed up on this one. And that was Lehman. I mean, he should have saw it, and I think that he's fair-minded enough. And he's told this to me in the past. He said, I've had this conversation with him because there's that one matchroom that ref that if you listen to this podcast, you know that I'm not a fan of him. I think that he is. Anyways, doesn't matter. And I've talked to John about this, and John will say is like, we all get calls wrong. The best that we can do is do the best that we can and try to learn from mistakes. And John Lehman's told that to me before, and I guess I'm not sure where, because he's out of the camera. We can't really tell where he's at. Does he have a good line at the 9-ball? Is he able to see it properly? Is he looking at something
his
else?
job is to get over there to have a good look at it. So,
sure. Yep. That's definitely a thing. Yep.
I think that there should be, for especially the stream table matches, and I know they have one at the Moscone Cup, but there should definitely be a ref on. There should be a ref at the table and a ref on the camera. So if they notice a foul on the camera, they should, be able to say something to the ref at the table. Just to
like calling New York in a baseball game.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
what do we got? Was he safe or not?
Yep.
So are you telling me that we need to start giving the players red flags so that if they want to challenge something, they could check a red flag at the ref?
Yeah, your opponent.
No, I'm just saying that.
I love it.
I'm just saying that refs should. There should be, especially for those big matches, 2 refs. One, if one doesn't catch something, the one has the camera to notice.
I think the second ref can be the player, right? Because at the end of the day, like we haven't really talked about Christina in this, but like, I mean, at some point in time, especially true with the amateurs, right? It is your responsibility as the opponent to self-ref the match itself, right? So if I know that at the end of the day, like
you're supposed to pay attention if you're the opponent.
Yeah, it's disrespectful to stand up while your opponent is shooting. But was Chris? I mean, it's kind of hard to see. Was Christina watching the shot? Was Christina's eyes on what was going on, or did she just kind of nonchalantly watch at it? And maybe the second ref is supposed to be Christina there. Maybe Christina's supposed to.
We've seen Earl do that. Yeah. I've seen him do it. Get up out of his chair and go watch a hit.
Yeah.
Nate, this Predator tournament was all ball foul, right?
All ball
foul. The one that I just put in. Well, I was in one of my matches. I never played on the stream table, so I never had a constant ref watching. But one of my matches, the dude had to go over a shot. His shirt is completely resting on one of the balls, but there's no refs around.
Oh,
he ran out, but I still ended up winning the match. But if there was a ref around, I wish they would have.
And you didn't say anything.
Said, hey, there's a, he's.
Well,
I mean, I say this because if I say to him, "Hey, you just all ball fouled," he might say, "No, I didn't." It's going to be a pointless argument.
So I actually did talk to John about. I actually had a conversation with John exactly about the situation that you're talking about, and I talked to him about this. So all of the refs that are there are what they're called zone refs. I think is what John told me that they're referred to as. So they are what's called the zone ref. So they have a zone that they ref, but their job is to basically oversee the zone, not to make calls within the zone. So that includes John Lehman at the feature table. And that's the way that Predator does their stuff. So that is actually a thing. So like at the end of the day, it going back to this call, it kind of gets weird, right? Because if that same situation that happened in that match would have happened with your match, I don't think that the ref actually can call a foul on that person without you actually having a ref come over and like ask for a ref to come over to watch the shot. I don't know that the ball, him having the shirt on the ball is a foul. I mean, it is in a sense, and I mean you can say, all right, that's a foul. Your shirt was on the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't going to change anything. That I knew that it wasn't going to change anything. But if there was a ref watching and that was going to actually make a call, then it could have been ball in hand for me.
In the bigger tournaments, I mean, you see these when there's balls close to the rail and the player has to stretch out, and the players are tucking their shirts and things like that, and they stretch out, and the ref, you will see them move and even lower themselves down, to specifically watch that.
That's the thing I liked about the Bob Stocks tournament in Virginia. There was a ref at every table. They had a ref for every single table.
Really?
There wasn't. There was only like 9 tables, but there's a ref for every table, so they could make those calls.
The whole tournament, huh? For as long.
Yeah.
Ref at every table. Wow, how nice.
Well, I mean,
did the refs rack the balls then too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So I mean, that's kind of the. Maybe that's kind of the argument of what we're having here. Maybe John, and maybe I need to have John on at some point in time to talk about this, but I don't know that. I mean, what's the point of having one ref on a feature table if they're going to be a zone ref still? And that's what I asked him, and he's, that's the way that they do it. So that's the answer that I got. It seems like it's consistent with the outside tables, but if it's going to be consistent with the outside tables, then why can't the players actually practice on the feature table which is consistent with the outside tables, right? It just kind of seems like they're picking and choosing what they want to be consistent on the outside tables, because of course the TV table is going to play more slippery the entire event because it doesn't get practiced on. It gets probably by the end of the event probably a quarter to a fifth of the actual table time that the outside tables get, and that's going to make them play differently. It seems to me that that's going to be something that they're going to have to address going forward. And it definitely doesn't look good to have that on stream and not give John the opportunity to call it a foul, which doesn't seem consistent with what's happened for the last 20 events anyway. So I don't know. It's just a little bit goofy to me, but I think at the end of the day, John probably just missed this one. And at the end of the day, refs are going to miss calls. They're going to get things wrong. And you just hope that they learn from it going forward and that it's not a problem going forward.
Ed says he missed one call in 6 years. So, I mean, we are human. It does happen.
Sure. Oh, in one of our matches, we had a ref get a call wrong, and he said that we had a player on our team. It was a double hit call, and she ends up everybody was like saying it was a good hit, including their team. 8 of the 10 people that were involved with the match said it was a good hit, and 2 of them were like, "Well, I don't know. The ref called it. I'm just staying out of it. I'm just going by what they said." Including her opponent that she was playing against in that game said that was a good hit, and she's like, "Well, he called a foul, so take it." And he's like, "All right, I'm going to take it, but I think that was a good hit." And so I kind of just casually walked up to the ref later and just asked, what about that was a foul? I just just out of curiosity, really, I'm just kind of poking the bear, trying to instigate, because that's just what I am. I'm just a troll. And the guy's like, "Well, she sideswiped the cue, or she sideswiped the cue ball with her shaft." So he said that she followed through and then pulled the shaft to the left and hit the cue ball, and that's why it was a foul.
Okay,
and that's why it went. That's why it went to the left.
All right.
So I don't know, whatever. But refs get things wrong all the time. They don't know the rule book. They don't understand. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to pay somebody peanuts, you're going to pay them travel and food and $40 a day. Of course, it's not going to, require the best refs in the world, right? I mean, the best refs in the world aren't going to work for peanuts, And we saw what the NFL looked like when they had replacement refs like 4 or 5 years ago. It was pathetic. But they're paid the best too. I mean, the NFL refs are paid the best because they're the best, right? We're not paying our refs the best because there's no money in pools, so you can't afford to pay the best refs, the money that they're entitled because, well, you can't afford them, and so you kind of get what you can get, and sometimes that's okay, and sometimes that's not okay. Just as what it is.
I sure am impressed with the refs that I watched at. At the World Masters, they're really on top of something that
they are.
Yeah.
I will definitely never question. I will definitely never question the idea that they are there in tune and they are ready to go every single shot. They are looking at exactly what they need to look at. I just have a problem with the fact that they get calls wrong all the time, and they'll go back to video evidence and they'll still get it wrong because they're too arrogant to change it to the right call. It just happens so much. It's just so
arrogance.
Much. Well, the scoop shot with Sanjin, and then the 3-rail kick or the 2-rail kick for Shane. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how if you have a ball frozen to a rail and the object ball at the same time, that you can't understand that's a rail, that's a hit. What's hard to understand about that? I just don't understand how you can get that wrong when you have slow motion and you're going back to the camera and watching it for 4 or 5 minutes. I just don't understand how you can still get that wrong. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know. I guess with that being said, anything else we want to talk about? Anything else you guys got coming up?
What?
I have a fella in the basement right now putting my Gabriel carom table together.
Pretty fun.
Well, it was interesting because one of the slates, we broke it when we were tearing it down, and a whole chunk of one of the slates broke off.
So now you have a 2-piece slate?
Like a third of it. So we bonded it together last night, and now he's down there. I can hear stuff in the basement. So I'm gonna have to say goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, we're all good. We're closing up here anyways. Sam, anything coming up you want to announce?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not quite. Yeah, nothing much.
We do have a new sponsor to the podcast, so I would like to thank Horo Tips. I've actually playing with these on my cues now. They are absolutely phenomenal tips. I've been trying to miss cue with my brake tip. I've been trying to miss cue on the brake, and I can't. It grips like a shooting tip, but it has the power of a brake tip. It's absolutely fantastic. So,
Well, what's the name of it again?
Horo Tips.
How spell it?
HORO Tips. They're a company out of Portugal. They're absolutely phenomenal, and of course, we always want to thank the rest of our sponsors, anyways. With
Where do we
Onboard.
get them?
I have some. If you want to try some, you reach out to me. I'll get you hooked up, Rob.
We get them from Neight Mindham. Okay.
And if anybody else has any and they want to try it out, inbox me. They are $25 a piece. That includes shipping. We'll get them sent anywhere in the world.
Included shipping. Oh boy.
Including shipping. Good to go. So, Rob, I guess thanks for joining me. Sam, thanks for joining me. I want to thank our sponsor, Jacoby, of course, because they sponsor all these podcasts. And with that, let me do a quick ad for Jacoby, because they are the best in the business, and we got to constantly remind you. Yeah, that's it. Here's Jacoby. Wake up, Sam. And
well, I'm gonna call Brandon and talk to him about the background music just a little bit on that.
Oh, stop it. It's relaxing. And I want to thank our patrons that allow us to continue doing all of this. So thank you to Ben Young, Dave. I need Jim here for this. Heisbauer, David Wiersma, Mo Bashir, Cody Wedig, Ed Ladawi, who has been in the chat, and Matt Poland,
Yes.
who has been in the chat, and Morgan Lupton. Thank you all very much for your support of the podcast. And I guess with that, let's close it out for the week. Thanks, Sam, and thanks, Rob, and congratulations again, Sam.
Well, thank you,
It was
Nate.
an incredible performance.
He's the man.
All right. Yep. All right. Take care, everyone.